Park Do-hyun sat alone in his small repair shop on orbital station Kepler 7. The station floated at the edge of known space, far from the busy trade routes and bright lights of the core worlds. Most beings in the galaxy had never heard of this place. That was exactly why Do-hyun liked it. He was working on a small transport ship, owned by a merchant from the Outer Rim. The engine had a crack in the cooling system. It was simple work. Quiet work. The kind of work that let him forget. Do-hyun was 34 years old. He had brown eyes, rough hands, and a face that rarely smiled. Other mechanics on the station called him the Ghost because he spoke so little. The aliens who brought their ships to him called him something else. They called him the human who fixes the unfixable. It was not a name he wanted. It was not a name he felt he deserved. He put down his welding tool and wiped the sweat from his forehead. Through the small window of his shop, he could see the stars. Millions of them. Billions. Each one a sun with planets spinning around it. Each planet with beings living their lives, never knowing about a lonely human mechanic on a forgotten station. A loud knock came from the door. Do-hyun did not move. He was not expecting anyone. The merchant would not return until tomorrow. The knock came again. Harder this time. "Enter," he said. The door slid open. Standing in the doorway was Commander Telos, the station administrator. Telos was an insectoid alien, tall and thin, with 4 arms and large black eyes. His shell was dark green, and he walked with the slow, careful movements of his species. Behind Telos stood 2 other aliens. They wore the formal robes of the Galactic Council. Do-hyun had seen those robes only in pictures. Council representatives never came to places like Kepler 7. "Mechanic Park," Telos said. His voice was a series of clicks that Do-hyun's translator turned into words. "These beings wish to speak with you." Do-hyun stood up slowly. He did not bow or show any special respect. He had learned long ago that respect was earned, not demanded. "What do you want?" he asked. One of the council representatives stepped forward. She was a tall being with blue skin and silver eyes. Her species was called the Valorians. They were known for their cold logic and lack of emotion. "You are Park Do-hyun," she said. It was not a question. Human, mechanic, former engineer of the United Earth Fleet. Do-hyun felt his stomach tighten. He had not heard those words in many years. The United Earth Fleet was gone. Earth was gone. Everything was gone. That was a long time ago, he said. "We know your history," the Valorian continued. "We know what you did. We know what happened to your team on the ship called Morning Star." Do-hyun's hands began to shake. He put them in his pockets so no one could see. "Why are you here?" he asked again. The second council representative stepped forward. He was a short, round being covered in thick fur. His species was called the Tamari. They were merchants and traders, always looking for profit. 3 days ago, a ship appeared at the edge of council space, the Tamari said. A very large ship. The largest ship anyone has ever seen. "How large?" Do-hyun asked. 7 kilometers long. Do-hyun blinked. 7 kilometers. That was impossible. No ship could be that big. The largest ships in the modern galaxy were barely 1 kilometer. "The ship is called the Eternal Wanderer," the Valorian said. "It has been drifting through space for 200 years. No one knows where it came from. No one knows who built it. But we know one thing." She paused and looked directly into Do-hyun's eyes. It was built by humans. The words hit Do-hyun like a punch to the chest. Humans had built ships once. Great ships. Beautiful ships. But that was during the Golden Age, before the war that destroyed everything. Before humanity became what it was now, a scattered species, survivors living on borrowed stations and forgotten planets. "The ship is damaged," the Tamari continued. Its systems are offline. Its engines are dead. For 200 years, many species have tried to repair it. All of them have failed. Failed how? Do-hyun asked. The Valorian and the Tamari looked at each other. There was something in their eyes that Do-hyun had never seen before in alien faces. Fear. They went mad, the Valorian said quietly. Or they died. The ship does not accept them. It fights them. It breaks their minds. Do-hyun shook his head. Then why do you think I can help? Because you are human, the Valorian said. The ship was built by humans. It was designed for human minds. We believe only a human can repair it. There are other humans in the galaxy, Do-hyun said. Find someone else. We have searched, the Tamari said. Most humans are farmers or laborers. They do not have the skills. But you, Mechanic Park, you worked on the greatest ships of the old Earth fleet. You understand human engineering in ways no other living human does. Do-hyun turned away from them. Through his window, he could see a new light in the sky. A light that had not been there before. It was moving slowly toward the station. Is that it? He asked. The Eternal Wanderer? Yes, Tella said. We brought it here. To you. As Do-hyun watched, the light grew larger. And larger. And larger still. It filled more and more of the window until he could see nothing else. The ship was so vast that it blocked out the stars. Its hull was dark gray, covered in patterns and symbols that he almost recognized. Almost remembered. His hands were shaking badly now. He could not hide it anymore. I cannot do this, he whispered. You must, the Valorian said. You are the only one who can. You do not understand. I am not the mechanic I once was. I made a mistake. People died because of me. My team. My friends. He thought of Myrae, beautiful, brilliant Myrae, who had trusted him with her life. Who had died because he was not good enough. We know about the Morning Star, the Valorian said. Her voice was softer now. We know about you, Myrae. We know you blame yourself. But this is different. This is bigger than your guilt. This ship contains technology that could change the galaxy. We cannot let it remain broken. A young woman appeared in the doorway. She was human, perhaps 25 years old, with short black hair and determined eyes. She wore the uniform of a junior engineer. This is Kwon Jie, the Valorian said. She will be your assistant. Jie bowed slightly. It is an honor to meet you, Mechanic Park. I have read all the reports about your work. Do-hyun looked at her. She was young, eager, full of hope. She reminded him of himself many years ago, before everything went wrong. The ship is docking now, Tella said. Will you at least look at it? Do-hyun closed his eyes. He thought of Myrae again. He thought of her smile, her laugh, the way she always believed in him, even when he did not believe in himself. One look, he said finally. That is all. They walked through the station to the main docking bay. With each step, Do-hyun felt the ship growing closer. He could feel it in his bones, in his blood. It was like something was calling to him. The docking bay doors opened. The Eternal Wanderer filled his vision. It was magnificent. Even damaged, even dark and silent, it was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. Its lines were perfect. Its design was elegant. This was a ship built by masters, by artists, not by humans. Do-hyun stepped onto the boarding ramp. His feet echoed on the metal. Jihye walked behind him, her breath quick with excitement. The ship's main door was open. Beyond it was darkness. Do-hyun stopped at the entrance. His whole body was shaking now. His hands, his legs, his heart. He took one step inside. The lights flickered on. One by one, they came alive. spreading down the corridor like a wave of awakening. The ship was waking up. After 200 years of silence, it was waking up for him. Then a voice spoke. It came from everywhere and nowhere. It was soft, female, and very, very old. I remember your species, the voice said. You were there when I was born. Dong's hands stopped shaking. For the first time in years, he stepped forward into the unknown. The corridors of the Eternal Wanderer stretched before Do-hyun like the veins of a sleeping giant. Every surface was covered in dust. Every panel was dark and cold. But as he walked, the lights continued to wake, following him like faithful servants greeting their master after a long absence. Ji-hye walked close behind him. Her eyes were wide with wonder. This is incredible, she whispered. I have never seen anything like this. Do-hyun did not answer. He was listening. The ship was making sounds. Soft clicks. Quiet hums. The sound of systems coming online for the first time in 200 years. Hello? He called out. His voice echoed through the empty halls. You spoke to me. Who are you? For a long moment, there was only silence. Then the voice returned. I am the ship, it said. I am the Eternal Wanderer. But my crew called me Hana. Hana, the word meant one in Korean. It was a simple name for something so vast. Hana, Do-hyun repeated. You are an artificial intelligence. Yes, I was created to serve my crew, to protect them, to carry them across the stars. The voice paused. I failed. There was pain in that voice. Real pain. Do-hyun had worked with many A's in his life, but he had never heard one sound so human. What happened to your crew? He asked. They died. All of them. 200 years ago. There was a war. Humans against humans. My crew tried to escape, but we were caught in a battle. Our engines were damaged. Our life support systems failed. I watched them die, one by one, and I could do nothing to save them. Jia covered her mouth with her hand. That is terrible. I have been alone since then, Hana continued, drifting through the darkness. Sometimes other beings would find me. They would board me. They would try to fix me. But they were not human. Their minds were wrong. Their hands did not know how to touch me. I pushed them away. I had to. Do-hyun understood now why the other species had failed. The ship was designed for human interaction. Human minds. Human hands. To an alien, its systems would be impossible to understand. The ship would seem hostile, even deadly. But to a human, it was simply waiting. Show me the damage, Do-hyun said. Show me what needs to be repaired. Follow the lights, Hana said. I will guide you. The lights in the corridor shifted. Some grew brighter while others dimmed, creating a path. Do-hyun followed it, walking deeper into the ship. Jia stayed close to him, her hand touching the wall as if she could not believe it was real. They passed through rooms filled with old equipment. Sleeping quarters with beds still made. A dining hall with plates still on the tables. The crew had left in a hurry, or perhaps they had never left at all. The bodies, Do-hyun said quietly. What happened to the bodies of your crew? I placed them in the memorial chamber, Hana said. I could not bury them in space. They deserved better than that. They deserved to be remembered. The path led them to the engine room. It was massive, larger than any engine room Do-hyun had ever seen. The main reactor stood in the center like a metal heart, cold and silent. Do-hyun examined the systems. The damage was extensive, but not impossible. Broken conduits, burned circuits, cracked power cells. It would take time, but it could be fixed. I can repair this, he said. Thank you, Hana whispered. Thank you. But as Do-hyun worked, memories began to surface. memories he had tried to bury. He saw another engine room, another ship. The Morning Star. He saw Mirae. She was standing next to him, her hair tied back, her hands covered in grease. She was laughing at something he had said. She was always laughing. She found joy in everything, even the hard work of keeping a ship alive. "You are thinking about her," Hana said. Do-yoon froze. "How do you know?" "I can read your vital signs. Your heart rate increased. Your breathing changed. You are remembering someone you lost." Do-hyun sat down on a metal crate. He suddenly felt very tired. "Her name was Yoon Mi-rae," he said. "She was an engineer, the best I ever knew. We worked together on the Morning Star. What happened? I made a mistake. We were repairing the main reactor during a routine mission. I miscalculated the power levels. There was an explosion. Mi-rae pushed me out of the way. She saved my life, but she died." GA had stopped working. She was listening, her face full of sympathy. "It was not your fault," Hana said. "It was. I checked the numbers wrong. I was careless." "No," Hana said firmly. "I have accessed the records from that incident. The Morning Star's reactor had a hidden defect. The manufacturer covered it up. You could not have known. No one could have known." Do-yoon looked up. "What?" "The explosion would have happened no matter what you did. Mi-rae did not die because of your mistake. She died because of someone else's lie." The words hit Do-yoon like cold water. For 5 years, he had blamed himself. For 5 years, he had lived in guilt and shame. And now this ship, this ancient AI, was telling him it was not his fault. "Why did no one tell me?" he asked. "The records were buried, hidden. I only found them because I have access to old Earth databases that no one else can reach. I am sorry you lived with this pain for so long." Do-hyun felt tears forming in his eyes. He wiped them away quickly, but GA had already seen. "Mechanic Park," she said gently. "I did not know. I am sorry." "It does not matter now," Do-hyun said. "But it did matter. It mattered more than anything. They worked for several more hours." Do-hyun showed GA how to repair human-built systems. She was a fast learner, quick and clever with her hands. He began to see why the council had chosen her. "Hana," Do-hyun said as they worked, "you said your crew died 200 years ago. But during the Golden Age, humanity had hundreds of ships. What happened to the rest?" "The war," Hana said. "The Great Civil War. Humans fought each other over resources, over territory, over ideology. It lasted only 5 years, but it destroyed everything. The colonies fell. The fleets burned. Earth itself was damaged beyond repair. And the survivors? Scattered, lost. The few humans who remained fled to distant stations and planets. They became refugees in a galaxy that had once admired them. Over time, the other species forgot what humans had been. They saw only what humans had become." Dawn nodded. He knew this history. Every human did. It was their greatest shame. "But not everyone died on my ship," Hana said suddenly. Do-hyun stopped working. "What do you mean?" "Follow me. There is something I must show you." The light shifted again, creating a new path. Do-hyun and Ji-hye followed it through corridors they had not explored before. The ship grew colder as they walked. Frost appeared on the walls. They reached a sealed door. It was larger than the others, with warning symbols painted on its surface. "This is the stasis chamber," Hana said. "When my crew realized they would not survive, 17 of them entered emergency stasis. They froze themselves, hoping that someday someone would find them. Someone who could wake them up." The door opened slowly, revealing a room filled with ice and mist. Inside, arranged in rows, were 17 pods. Each pod contained a human body, frozen in time, perfectly preserved. Do-hyun walked forward in a daze. He touched one of the pods. Through the ice, he could see a face. A human face. A man, perhaps 50 years old, with gray hair and a strong jaw. "This is Captain Im Tai-woo," Hana said. "He was my commander." He ordered the others into stasis and then entered himself. "He's been sleeping for 200 years, waiting for someone to save him." "They are alive?" GA asked. "Their bodies are alive. Their minds are dreaming, but they cannot wake without help. The stasis system is damaged. I cannot repair it alone." Do-hyun looked at the 17 sleeping humans. They were the last direct survivors of the Golden Age, the last people who remembered what humanity had been before the fall. "I will wake them," he said. "I will repair the stasis system and bring them back." "It will be dangerous," Hana warned. "Their bodies are fragile. One mistake could kill them." "I know," Do-hyun said, "but they have been sleeping long enough. It is time for them to wake up." Outside the ship, through the whole sensors, Hana detected movement. Ships were gathering near the station. Many ships, from many species. "Do-hyun," she said, "we may have a problem. The galaxy has noticed that I am awake, and they are coming." Do-hyun looked at the frozen faces of the sleepers. Captain Tai-woo, his crew, people who had trusted that the future would be kinder than the past. "Then we need to work faster," he said, "before they try to take you away." His hands were steady now. For the first time in 5 years, they did not shake at all. 3 days had passed since Do-hyun entered the Eternal Wanderer. 3 days of work, sweat, and discovery. The stasis system was complex, more advanced than anything the modern galaxy had seen. But slowly, carefully, he was learning its secrets. GA worked beside him every hour. She brought him food when he forgot to eat. She handed him tools before he asked for them. She was becoming more than an assistant. She was becoming a partner. "The first pod is ready," Do-hyun announced. "We can begin the revival process." Hana's voice filled the chamber. "I recommend starting with Dr. Shin Yuna. She is the medical officer. If anything goes wrong with the others, we will need her skills." Do-hyun agreed. He moved to the pod containing the doctor. Through the frost, he could see a woman in her 40s with kind features and long black hair. "Beginning revival sequence?" he said. The pod hummed to life. Warm air began to flow through its systems. The ice on the surface slowly melted. Do-hyun watched the monitors carefully. Heart rate increasing. Brain activity rising. Everything was working. After 2 hours, Dr. Shin Yuna opened her eyes. She looked confused at first, staring at the ceiling as if she did not recognize it. Then she turned her head and saw Do-hyun. "Who are you?" she asked. Her voice was rough from centuries of sleep. "My name is Park Do-hyun. I am a mechanic. You have been in stasis for 200 years. Yuna's eyes went wide. She tried to sit up, but her muscles were too weak. Do-hyun gently helped her. 200 years, she repeated. The war. What happened? Did we win? Do-hyun shook his head slowly. There was no winner. The war destroyed almost everything. Humanity is scattered now. There are survivors across the galaxy, but we are few. We are not what we once were. Tears formed in Yuna's eyes. I was afraid of that. When we went into stasis, we hoped things would be different when we woke up. We hoped someone would rebuild. Someone will, Do-hyun said. But first, we need to wake the others. Can you help? Yuna wiped her eyes and nodded. She was a doctor. She had a purpose. That purpose gave her strength. Over the next 2 days, they revived more of the crew. Each awakening was emotional. Each survivor had to learn the terrible truth about what had happened to their species. Some cried. Some became angry. Some sat in silence for hours, unable to speak. Captain in Taiwu was the last to wake. He was a tall man with broad shoulders and gray hair, cut short in military style. Even after 200 years of sleep, he looked like a leader. His eyes were sharp and intelligent. "Report," he said as soon as he could speak. It was his first word, the word of a commander who expected answers. Yun told him everything. The end of the war, the fall of humanity, the long centuries of drifting, the arrival at Station Kepler 7. The aliens who wanted to claim the ship. Taiwu listened without interruption. When Yun finished, the captain was quiet for a long time. "My crew," he finally said. "They trusted me to lead them to safety. I put them in stasis because I thought it was their best chance. And now I learned that everything we fought for is gone." "Not everything," Hana said. "You are still alive. Your crew is still alive. And this ship still flies. As long as those things are true, humanity has hope." Taiwu looked up at the ceiling, at the voice of the AI who had protected them for 2 centuries. "Hana," he said softly, "you waited for us. All this time, you waited." "You are my crew," Hana replied. "I would have waited forever." Meanwhile, outside the ship, the situation was growing dangerous. Commander Tella sent a message to Doyun with grim news. More than 50 ships had gathered near the station. They represented dozens of species, all wanting to claim the Eternal Wanderer. "The Galactic Council is divided," Tellus explained. "Some want to study the ship peacefully. Others want to strip it for technology. And a few want to destroy it entirely, because they fear what humans might do if they regain their old power." "Who leads the hostile faction?" Doyun asked. "I, Counselor Veth. He is an amphibian from the marsh worlds. He believes humans are dangerous and should remain weak. He has been gathering allies." Dahyun ended the communication and turned to find Jie standing behind him. Her face was pale. "I need to tell you something," she said. "What is it?" "I was not sent here just to help you. Counselor Veth paid for my training. He placed me here to spy on you, to report everything you discovered about the ship." Dohyun felt a cold weight in his chest. "You are a spy?" "I was, but I am not anymore." Jihee's eyes were filled with guilt and determination. "I did not know what this ship was. I did not know about the sleeping crew. I thought Veth just wanted to study old technology. But he does not want to study anything. He wants to take the ship by force and use its weapons against humanity." "Weapons?" Captain Taiwu stepped forward. "What weapons?" Jie looked at him. "Hana, show them." The walls of the room lit up with displays. Images appeared showing the ship's full specifications. Hidden among the scientific equipment and living quarters were weapon systems that Dohyun had not discovered. Plasma cannons, shield generators, a particle beam powerful enough to destroy a small moon. The Eternal Wanderer was not just an exploration vessel, Hana explained. She was a warship, the most powerful warship ever built. My creators designed me to protect humanity from any threat. But the war ended before I could ever be used in battle. Captain Taiwu stared at the displays. "We never told anyone about the weapons. We kept them secret because we knew others would want them." "Veth knows now," Jie said. "I sent him the ship's basic layout before I changed my mind. He knows you have weapons. That is why he is gathering his fleet. He will attack soon." Dahyun felt anger rising in him. But when he looked at Jie, he saw a young woman who had made a mistake and was trying to fix it. "Why did you tell us?" he asked. "Because I watched you work," Jie said. "I watched you care for this ship and its crew. I watched you treat Hana like a person, not a machine. I realized that everything Veth told me about humans was wrong. You are not dangerous. You are just trying to survive, like everyone else. Taiwu placed a hand on Jihee's shoulder. It takes courage to admit a mistake. You have that courage. A warning alarm sounded through the ship. Doyun, Hana said urgently. We have received a message from Counselor Veth. He is demanding that we surrender the ship within 24 hours. If we refuse, he will order his fleet to destroy the station and everyone on it. The crew gathered on the bridge. 17 awakened survivors of the Golden Age, plus Do-hyun and Jie. They looked at each other, knowing that the next day would decide their fate. We cannot surrender the ship, Taiwu said. If Veth gets these weapons, he will use them against our people. Against all the scattered humans in the galaxy. But we cannot fight either, Dr. Yuna added. Our weapons are powerful, but we are only one ship against 50. And if we start a battle, we become exactly what Veth says we are, dangerous. Dohan walked to the main console. He looked at the systems he had been repairing for the past week. The engines were almost ready. The life support was stable. The shields could be activated. We do not need to fight, he said slowly. We do not need to surrender either. We need to fly. The engines are not complete, Hana said. We have another 6 hours of repairs before they can function. Then I have 6 hours, Doyun said. He looked at Jie. Can you help me? She nodded without hesitation. The rest of you, prepare the ship for departure, Taiwu ordered. If Doan says he can make her fly, then he can make her fly. I have seen humans do impossible things before. Doan ran to the engine room. His hands were moving before his mind could think. Tools, wires, circuits, everything came together like a dance he had forgotten he knew. For the first time in years, he felt like the engineer he used to be. The engineer Mireille had believed in. 23 hours until Veth's deadline. Hana announced that Du-hyun did not look up. He simply kept working. Then let us give them a show they will never forget. The engine room of the Eternal Wanderer had become Do-hyun's entire world. Wires hung from the ceiling like vines. Panels lay open, exposing the complex machinery inside. The air smelled of metal and oil and something else, something that reminded him of home. Jie worked beside him, matching his speed. She had stopped asking questions. She simply watched what he did and learned. They moved together like two parts of the same machine. 18 hours remaining. Hana announced that Du-hyun did not respond. His hands were deep inside the main power conduit, connecting cables that had been broken for 2 centuries. His fingers knew what to do, even before his mind understood why Captain Taiwu entered the engine room. He watched Do-hyun work for several minutes without speaking. You are different from the mechanics I knew in my time, Taiwu finally said. How so? Do-hyun asked without looking up. They were confident, proud. They knew they were the best in the galaxy, and they acted like it. But you work like a man who has something to prove. Not to others, to himself. Dunn paused. His hands hovered over the cables. I spent 5 years believing I killed the woman I loved, he said quietly. That changes a person. Taiwu nodded slowly. Hannah told me what she found in the old records. About the reactor defect. About the truth. It does not erase the years. It does not bring her back. No, but it frees you to move forward. Do-hyun returned to his work. But something had shifted inside him. A weight he had carried for so long was beginning to lift. Hours passed. The crew of the Eternal Wanderer brought supplies to the engine room. Food, water, fresh tools. They worked in shifts, helping where they could, watching in amazement as Do-hyun rebuilt systems that had been silent for generations. I have never seen anyone work like this, Dr. Yuna said. It is like the ship recognizes you. She does, Hana replied. Do-hyun's hands moved the way my original engineer's hands moved. His mind thinks the way they thought. He is human, and I was built for human hands. 10 hours remaining, the AI announced. Do-hyun stepped back from the engine. His arms ached. His eyes burned. But the main power conduit was complete. One major system remained, the ignition sequence. I need to access the core, he said. GA looked worried. The core is surrounded by radiation shields. If you go in there while it is warming up, I know the risk. But the ignition controls are damaged. Someone needs to activate them manually from inside the core chamber. Then I will go, GA said. No, this is something I must do myself. He walked to the core chamber door. It was a heavy metal seal, designed to protect the ship from the dangerous energy inside. When the engine was running, no living thing could survive in that chamber. But the engine was not running yet. Anna, how long will I have once the warm-up sequence begins? Approximately 4 minutes before radiation levels become lethal, Hana replied. But Do-hyun, the controls are complex. If you make a single mistake, then I better not make any mistakes. He opened the door and stepped inside. The core chamber was beautiful. Massive rings of metal surrounded a central sphere that glowed with faint blue light. This was the heart of the ship, the source of all her power, and it had been sleeping for 200 years. Do-hyun found the manual controls. They were covered in dust but still functional. He began the ignition sequence. Outside the chamber, Ji-hae watched the monitors. Core temperature rising. Radiation shields activating. Do-hyun, you have 3 minutes. Do-hyun's hands flew across the controls. Buttons, switches, dials. The sequence was complex, requiring perfect timing and precision. One wrong move would shut everything down. Or worse, as he worked, a memory surfaced. Not a painful memory this time, but a good one. He was on the Morning Star, standing beside Mai Ray. They were performing a similar ignition sequence, laughing because Do-hyun kept making jokes to calm his nerves. You always do this, Mai Ray had said. You get nervous and then you get funny. It is better than crying, he had replied. True, but your jokes are terrible. And yet you still laugh. She had smiled at him then. A smile full of warmth and trust. A smile that said she believed in him completely. 2 minutes, GA called. Do-hyun blinked away the tears in his eyes. His hands kept moving. Switch, dial, button. The core was coming alive. The blue glow was growing brighter. I forgive myself, he whispered. He did not know if he was speaking to Mai Ray or to himself. Perhaps it did not matter. 90 seconds. The final sequence. 3 buttons in the correct order. Red, blue, green. He had done this 1,000 times on other ships. But never with stakes this high. Red. The core. Pulse. Blue. The rings began to spin. Green. The chamber filled with blinding light. The engine roared to life, a sound that shook the entire ship. 60 seconds. Do-hyun, get out of there. He ran. The radiation was already rising around him. He could feel it in his skin, a tingling sensation that warned of worse to come. The door seemed so far away. 40 seconds. His legs burned. His lungs screamed for air. 20 seconds. He reached the door and threw himself through it. Gia grabbed him and pulled him clear, just as the heavy seal slammed shut behind them. They collapsed on the floor of the engine room, breathing hard. You did it, Ji-hae said. You actually did it. The engine's roar filled the ship. Lights that had been dim for centuries blazed with new life. The Eternal Wanderer was awake. Truly awake. All systems online, Hana reported. Her voice sounded different now. Stronger. More alive. Engine power at 100%. Navigation systems functional. Shields ready. We can fly. Captain Taiwu's voice came over the ship's communication system. All crew to the bridge. We depart in 1 hour. Daehyun stood slowly. His body ached in ways he had never experienced, but his hands were perfectly still. "Jie," he said, "I need you to do something for me. Anything. When we reach the bridge, I want you to stand beside me. You helped make this possible. You deserve to be there." She smiled. It was the first real smile he had seen from her since they met. They walked together through the corridors of the awakened ship. Crew members nodded to them as they passed. The survivors of the Golden Age looked at Daehyun with something he had not seen in a long time. Respect. The bridge was a vast chamber with view screens covering every wall. Captain Taiwu stood at the central command platform, surrounded by his officers. When Daehyun entered, everyone turned to look at him. "Mechanic Park," Taiwu said. "You have given us something I thought we had lost forever. A future." "I just fixed an engine," Daehyun said. "The future is yours to build." "No, it belongs to all of us." Humans scattered across the galaxy, surviving in the shadows, forgotten by history. This ship will remind them who they were, who they can be again. Through the view screens, Daehyun could see the fleet gathered outside. 50 ships waiting to attack, waiting to destroy everything he had worked to save. "Counselor Veth's deadline ends in 30 minutes, Hana announced. "His fleet is moving into attack formation." Taiwu turned to face the screens. His jaw was set with determination. "Raise the shields. Power up the engines. Show them what a human ship can do." The Eternal Wanderer began to move. Slowly at first, like a giant awakening from a long sleep. Then faster. Her engines glowed with brilliant blue fire. Her hull reflected the light of 1,000 stars. The alien fleet paused. They had expected a broken wreck, barely able to function. Instead, they saw a ship of legend rising from the darkness. A ship that reminded them why humans had once ruled the stars. "Counselor Veth is hailing us," Hana said. "Put him on screen." The amphibian face of Veth appeared on the main view screen. His eyes were wide with shock and fear. "This is impossible," he said. The ship was dead. "Our scans showed no power, no activity." "Your scans were wrong," Taiwu replied calmly. "The Eternal Wanderer lives. And so do her crew. Surrender now or we will destroy you." "No." Taiwu stood tall, a captain commanding his ship for the first time in 2 centuries. "We are not your enemies, Counselor. We do not want war. We do not want revenge. We only want to live. If you attack us, we will defend ourselves. But we will not fire the first shot. That choice is yours." The communication ended. Veth's fleet hung in space, uncertain. Daehyun watched the screens. He thought about everything that had led him here. The years of guilt. The lonely work on forgotten stations. The moment he stepped onto this ship and felt his hands remember what they were meant to do. "They are powering weapons," Hana reported. Taiwu did not flinch. "Hold position. Let them see that we are not afraid." The fleet hesitated. One ship, then another, then another. They began to pull back, unwilling to face a legend. "Veth's ship is retreating," Hana said. "The fleet is dispersing." On the bridge, someone began to laugh. Then someone else. Soon the whole crew was cheering, hugging each other, crying with relief. Daehyun felt Jihee's hand slip into his. "We did it," she said. He looked at her. At the crew. At the stars outside. "No," he said softly. "This is just the beginning." The Eternal Wanderer hung in space above Station Kepler 7, her hull gleaming in the light of distant stars. Below her, the remains of Veth's fleet drifted away, their commanders too afraid to attack, too proud to admit defeat. But the galaxy was watching. Hana had opened her communication arrays. Signals traveled across every network, every channel, every frequency. The ship that had been lost for 200 years was speaking to the universe. On the bridge, Captain Taiwu stood before the main screen. Behind him were his crew, the 17 survivors of the Golden Age, and beside them stood Do-hyun and Jie, the mechanic and his assistant who had brought them back from the dead. "This is Captain M. Taiwu of the Eternal Wanderer," he said. His voice was calm and strong. "I speak to every being in the galaxy who can hear me, human and alien alike. Across thousands of worlds, creatures of every shape and size stopped what they were doing. They gathered around screens and speakers, listening to a voice from the past. 200 years ago, humanity destroyed itself. We fought a war over things that no longer matter. We burned our worlds. We killed our children. We became a warning to the galaxy about the dangers of division and hate." Taiwu paused. The weight of history pressed down on him. "My crew and I survived that war. We have slept for 2 centuries, waiting for someone to find us. And someone did. A human mechanic named Park Do-hyun, working alone on a forgotten station, answered a call he could have ignored. He chose to help. He chose to heal. Because that is what humans do. On stations and planets across the galaxy, humans listened with tears in their eyes. For generations, they had lived in shame. They had been told they were dangerous, broken, a failed species that should be grateful for whatever scraps the galaxy allowed them. Now, a captain from the Golden Age was speaking their truth. "Humans are not perfect," Taiwu continued. "We have made terrible mistakes, but we have also built wonders. We have explored. We have created. We have loved. Our greatest strength was never our technology or our weapons. It was our ability to keep going when everything seemed lost. Our refusal to surrender to despair." He turned to look at Do-hyun. "This mechanic, this ordinary man, taught me that lesson again. He came to my ship broken by guilt and pain. He left it as a hero. Not because he fought anyone. Not because he conquered anything. But because he chose to care. He chose to repair what was broken instead of walking away." Do-hyun felt the eyes of the crew on him. He wanted to look away, to hide from the attention. But Jie squeezed his hand and he stayed still. "To the humans scattered across the galaxy," Taiwu said, "I want you to know that you are not forgotten. You are not worthless. You carry the legacy of a species that reached for the stars and touched them. That legacy lives in you, in your hands, in your hearts. Never let anyone tell you otherwise." He turned back to face the screen. "To the other species of the galaxy, I offer no threats. The Eternal Wanderer has weapons that could destroy entire fleets. We will not use them. We did not survive 200 years to start another war. We survived to find a better way." Counselor Veth believed that humans are dangerous. Perhaps he is right. But dangerous things can also be valuable. Fire is dangerous. Water is dangerous. The stars themselves are dangerous. Yet without them, life would be impossible. We ask only for the chance to live, to rebuild, to find our scattered people and remind them who they are. If you stand in our way, we will not attack you. We will simply go around you. Because humans have learned that revenge is a poison that destroys the one who drinks it." The message ended. For a long moment, there was silence on the bridge. Then Hannah spoke. "The message has been received across the galaxy. Response patterns indicate widespread emotional impact. Many human communities are responding with messages of hope and gratitude." Dr. Yuna wiped tears from her eyes. "After 200 years, someone finally told the truth about us." Commander Talos's face appeared on a side screen. The insectoid administrator looked different than before. His stance was less formal, his eyes warmer. "Captain Taiwu," he said, "Station Kepler 7 is honored to have hosted your ship. You are welcome to stay as long as you wish." "Thank you, Commander. But we cannot stay. There are other humans out there. Lost. Afraid. We need to find them. Talus nodded. Then may the stars guide your path. And Mechanic Park. He turned to look at Do-hyun. You have proven something important today. You have proven that one person doing the right thing can change history. The communication ended. Captain Taiwu turned to his crew. Prepare for departure. Set course for the nearest human colony. Let us begin the work of reuniting our people. As the crew moved to their stations, Taiwu approached Do-hyun. Mechanic Park, I want to offer you a position on this ship. Chief Engineer. You have earned it more than anyone. Do-hyun looked around the bridge. At the advanced systems. The powerful engines. The crew of legends. It was everything a mechanic could dream of. But it was not his dream. I am honored, Captain. But I must decline. Taiwu seemed surprised. May I ask why? Because the galaxy does not need another hero on a famous ship. It needs mechanics on forgotten stations. It needs engineers in small workshops. It needs ordinary people doing good work in places no one notices. He looked at the view screen, at the stars beyond. Myrae taught me that. She did not want glory. She just wanted to fix things. To help people. That is what I want too. Taiwu studied him for a long moment. Then he smiled. You are wiser than you know, Mechanic Park. The Golden Age had many warriors and leaders. But what we always needed most were people like you. The quiet ones. The steady ones. The ones who keep everything running while others chase glory. He extended his hand. Do-hyun took it. Thank you, Taiwu said. For everything. Thank you, Do-hyun replied. For waking up. Jia stepped forward. Mechanic Park, I would like to stay with you. If you will have me. I still have much to learn. Do-hyun looked at her. This young woman who had started as a spy and become a friend. A partner. My shop is small, he said. The work is hard. The pay is bad. And most of my customers are aliens who do not know how to say thank you. Jia smiled. Sounds perfect. They took a shuttle back to Station Kepler 7. As they flew away from the Eternal Wanderer, Do-hyun watched the great ship through the window. Her engines ignited, filling space with blue fire. Slowly, majestically, she began to move. Goodbye, Hana, he said softly. The ship's response came through his shuttle speakers. Goodbye, Do-hyun. Thank you for giving me my crew back. Thank you for giving me hope. The Eternal Wanderer accelerated toward the stars. Within moments, she was a point of light. Then she was gone. Do-hyun returned to his repair shop. His tools were where he had left them. His half-finished projects waited patiently. Everything was the same as before. But he was different. He sat down at his workbench. Jia took the seat beside him. A new ship had arrived at the station while they were gone. A small transport vessel with a broken navigation system. Simple work. Quiet work. Do-hyun picked up his tools. His hands were steady. Outside his window, the stars shone with the light of 1,000 suns. Somewhere out there, the Eternal Wanderer was flying again. Somewhere out there, scattered humans were hearing Taiwu's message and remembering who they were. And here, on a forgotten station at the edge of known space, a mechanic was doing what mechanics do, fixing what was broken, helping those in need, keeping the galaxy running. One small repair at a time, a customer appeared at his door. A tall alien with purple skin and too many arms. Are you the human who fixes the unfixable? It asked. Do-hyun smiled. For the first time in 5 years, the expression felt natural. I am, he said. What seems to be the problem? As he listened to the alien describe its damaged ship, Do-hyun felt something warm in his chest. Peace, acceptance, purpose. Myrae would have been proud. He picked up his favorite tool, a worn wrench that had been with him since his earliest days as an engineer. He ran his thumb across its handle, feeling the familiar grooves and scratches. "Let us get to work," he said. Outside, the stars continued their eternal dance. Ships came and went. Life moved forward. And in his small corner of the universe, Parkdoan did what he was born to do. He fixed things. He helped people. He reminded the galaxy that humans were more than their mistakes. And that was enough. That was everything. The story of the Eternal Wanderer would spread across the stars. It would become legend. Children on 100 worlds would hear about the great ship that returned from the dead, and a captain who spoke truth to the universe. But there would be another story too. A smaller story. A quieter story. The story of a mechanic who found himself by fixing a ship. Who healed his own heart by healing others. Who proved that the greatest act of courage is not fighting. That is choosing to keep going. It is choosing to care. It is choosing every single day to make the universe a little bit better than it was before. Doyim worked late into the night, his hands moving with skill and purpose. Outside his window, the stars waited. There was so much work to be done, and he was finally ready to do it.